Okay, so we're going to talk about the basic idea of this. And the irony is that the roulette wheel analogy is not even actually an analogy, it's how they're actually rigging the election. Okay? So it would be dishonest to call it the roulette wheel analogy. It's the roulette wheel rig. Okay? So let's say you have a roulette wheel here with 10 slots. Okay? And you spin this wheel a million times. We know with 99.99999% probability that each slot is going to get hit between 95 and 105,000 times. Okay? So let's say that slot 4, after a million spins, was hit 500,000 times. So half of all the hits were on slot 4, and the remaining 500,000 hits were distributed amongst the other slots. I'll tell you right now, everybody would know that that's a rigged wheel. Okay? Now let's say we put some weight on these slots. So let's go over to slot 2, okay? And let's just make it a little bit larger, okay? Or maybe slot 3. I'll go to like this. So slot 3 is larger now than all the other slots, okay? And slot 4 is smaller than the other slots. And let's actually say that we make this so that slot 4 is about 25%. So let's bring this down to, let's go 2 to 45. Now I'm going to make the other slots really, really small, okay? So slot 3 now occupies 25% of the roulette wheel. Okay, so a lot of people would probably bet on slot 3, but you would get a lower return. So now if I spin this wheel a million times, I would expect there to be about 250,000 hits. If it was anything other than 240 to 260,000 hits on this wheel, I would know on slot 3, I would know that somebody had rigged the wheel. Now, what if slot 3 had 250,000 hits like we'd expect? But if we actually looked at the sequence, we noticed that for the first 500,000 spins of the wheel, it had way more. Let's say it occupied, let's say it looked, it was 20, okay. So let's say it's supposed to be evenly weighted, right? Like the other slots. But we noticed that for the first half, the first 500,000 spins, it occupies 23% of the space, or 25%. Then in the next 500,000 spins, it drops way, way down. Now it only shows up 5% of the time. Yet, when we look at the wheel, it looks like this. They're all evenly spaced. So how did slot 3 have a 25% chance of being hit in the first half of the month, but then it only had a 5% chance of being hit in the second half of the month? Well, clearly somebody was rigging slot 3. But they rigged it in a manner where the total number of hits came out to what you would expect at the end of the month. So the auditor who does the monthly audit on the casino, he doesn't think there's anything wrong. Slot 3 came up as many times as you would expect. But what he doesn't see is that in the first half of the month, Slot 3 came out like this. It was 25% of the pizza pie. And then in the second half of the month, okay, it came out like this. Only 5%. Clearly somebody did something to the roulette wheel to fool the auditor. And that's what we're going to see in our elections, okay? And this is the idea. So in this example here, slot 3 represents people who voted yes on Proposition B, yes on the nicotine tax, and no to surrender voter control over Tabor of state-run enterprises. Okay? So you have a total of 27 ways you can cast your vote. So I want you to imagine like a roulette wheel with 27 slots, okay? And each of these 7 slots says how you voted on Proposition B, EE, and 117, okay? So you can vote no, 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 yes, no, no, undervote, etc. Undervote, undervote, undervote is the last set. And ballot set number 13, yes, yes, no, is the state's preferred outcome. It means you want to raise your property taxes, you want to raise nicotine taxes, and you want to surrender voter control over the Tabor for state-run enterprises. That's what yes, yes, no means. It's the thing that nobody would, it's the way no sane human being would vote, but it's the way that the state would like you to vote. And what you see is that at the start of the election, I'm using slot 3 for 13, okay? That for some reason, for some ungodly reason, okay, that slot 3 occupies if I can get this to work right. That slot 3 comes up a lot. So this yes, yes, no category dominates the cast vote record for both Trump and Biden voters in every precinct. Every precinct for both Trump and Biden voters, they're overwhelmingly voting yes, yes, and no. This is what their own data says. In fact, by the time, if you look at this is the total percentage of all the ballots counted, like all the spins of the roulette wheel. The orange line is what percentage of the yes, yes, no ballots have been counted. And it says by the time equals halfway through the election, that 58% of the yes, yes, no ballots have been counted. And then you have the triple undervote in black. It says only 33% of those have been counted. Then you have set 24, which is undervote, yes, undervote. Only 30% of those have been counted by the time the election is over. What this means is that's throughout the election, if the probability share for Trump and Biden voters was generally didn't change, okay, so because Trump and Biden voters have a different profile, but overall they have a combined profile as well. If the probability profile was generally the same throughout the election, which is what you would expect, okay, you wouldn't see this. Everything would be at a 45-degree line. By the time half of all the ballots have been counted, you would get roughly half of all the ballot sets would have been counted. But for some reason, the yes, yes, no set is running incredibly fast. All of the yes, yes, no voters are voting early in the election. And all of the triple under voters are waiting until the end of the election to mail in their ballot. This is what their data says. Okay? That's the same as this wheel, slot number 3, starting really, really large. Okay, and I'm going to go a little closer with this. Okay. So it's starting really, really large. I'm going to put a number C in here real quick so you can see this. Okay. Okay. So as time goes along, slot number 3 keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, in fact, I want to go further because this is what their cast vote record says. That somebody is changing the probability share of slot number 3, which is yes, yes, no. So it goes from very dominant to not really appearing that much at the end of the election. Somebody is fucking rigging with the election like it's a roulette wheel. That's what's happening. So it's not even an analogy, it's quite literal. That's the only way to get this pattern you're seeing with the orange line for ballot set 13. There's no other way to get it. So in the next sections, I'm going to show you how you scientifically use the scientific method here with sigma values and just shuffling the existing ballots, okay, to show the court that this is a completely rigged election, okay? Okay, guys, welcome to step 1. Okay, this is how we prepare. So we're going to download the old cast vote record and the new cast vote record. And we'll get these here. At these, I'll put these in the video file as well. Okay. And here is the link to the new cast vote record. You just go straight to arapahoe.com, transparency, certification, and recounts, and then you go download the redacted CVR. Okay. For the new cast vote record, you got to go to this other link here, and that will give you the old cast vote record. Let's see if that even still works. All right, good, it works. I'm just going to stop the download then. All right, so once you do that, and this gives you the hash files, that way you know you have the same thing that I do for both the new and the old cast vote record. Okay. You're gonna start like this. You're gonna put them both in the same sheet, okay? And you're gonna delete the very last ballot in the old cast vote record, which is sorted by the cast vote record number as you would expect, okay? It says prop, just get rid of it, hit delete, okay? And then over here, again, in the new cast vote record, for some reason it's sorted by ballot type and then by the first 4 digits of the cast vote record. Don't know why, don't care, ask the people that rigged the election. Do the same thing, go to the last ballot, name prop, and delete it, okay? Now, the only reason we need the old cast vote record is because they have the counting group column, which tells you if it's a mail-in vote or an in-person election day vote, okay? For some reason, they didn't include that in the new cast vote record. Don't know why, don't care why, ask the people that rigged the election. But we do need that, okay? So you're going to take the new cast vote record. This is after you deleted that last ballot named prop, okay? And you're going to go sort it by the cast vote record number. And that will bring the entire thing, okay, into the exact same sequence, okay, as the original cast vote record. So just sort by cast vote record number. And that's it, okay? Then you use the election day and mail-in vote of the other. So insert a new column. Go to the old cast vote record. Get this counting group column right here. Go to the new cast vote record. You put it in. And that's all you need. Okay? You can now delete the old cast vote record. We don't need anything from that anymore. Okay. The only thing we want now is the Trump and Biden columns, which is here. Okay? And we want the yes and no votes on proposition on Constitutional Amendment B, which is to repeal Gallagher. On EE, okay, which is about raising nicotine taxes. So that's these two columns. And then Proposition 117, which is about if you vote for it, it gives voters more control over state-run enterprises in Tabor. If you vote against it, then voters don't get any say in the Tabor proceedings for state-run enterprises. Okay, so that's it. We just want these three columns. Everything else is garbage. We don't need it for what we're going to do today. So get rid of everything in between what I highlighted in yellow. We're even getting rid of the third-party votes and everything for president. We don't give a shit about that, okay? It's all gone. It's all useless. We don't need it. Okay, so that's step one in part one, okay? What we're going to do now is remove all election day votes, leaving only the mail-in votes, okay? So let's call this Biden, Trump. This is Constitutional Amendment B, so I'm just going to put Prop B yes, Prop B no, EE yes, EE no, 117 yes, 117 no. Okay? I'm now going to get rid of this. Don't need these top three rows. We know what this is. Okay? All right, let's go sort this by the counting group. So data sort. In person appears after mail-in alphabetically. Okay? So just do this. Sort by counting group. And, okay. My bad. I was thinking person, not in person. Alright, so sort this descending. Okay. And you're going to find the in-person ballots at the end, right around here. I might have to do a little manual scrolling for this. Okay. And then you're just going to delete these, okay? So every election day vote we're going to get rid of for this. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we only want people who voted for Trump or Biden and nothing else. So it's going to put other. So this could be a third-party candidate or an undervote. We're going to put XNOR. So in Excel, that's not Zor. Biden, Trump. Okay, and then we're just going to drop this to the bottom. And then what you'll see here is when a 1 shows up in this column, it means they voted for something other than Trump or Biden, or they didn't vote at all. Okay, we're going to get rid of all these votes as well. So that's the next stage. Also, before we do that, sometimes you have a redacted ballot with that gives you an error when you do this. So replace this with the same function, but also put if error 1. Okay, so anything that comes up as an error also comes up as what we're going to get rid of. Okay, there's only a handful of redacted ballots, like 10 or 15 or something. Okay, so now that we got that, let's go ahead, copy and paste values over this column. Now we're going to sort by other, ascending. We don't really care about any other sorting at the moment. Okay. We're going to see all these ballots pop out at the bottom. Starting here. Okay. And there's really not that many of them, but we do have to get rid of them. Okay. So scrolling to the bottom. It doesn't really matter. You can miss the scroll. Just come do this, delete them, and those are finally gone. Okay. Now we're going to, you can delete this column. Okay. I'm going to make a new spreadsheet. I'm just going to take these values from the top to the bottom. The other option is you can just save the spreadsheet right now. But I don't want to save and open refiles while I'm making a video. Otherwise, I might say that I opened a different file without you knowing. Okay. So we're going to do it in the same file. And now this ends where we want it to. Okay, it's about 320 ballots. You can go ahead and delete this. All right, now we're going to sort this by the CVR number. Okay, and we're going to make something called the mail-in ordinal. Okay, this is a very important number. You can get rid of ballot type. We still need precinct. We don't need counting group. They're all mail-in. I don't need this, this, or this. We can get rid of that too. Okay, these are the only columns that matter. Okay, we're going to create the mail-in ordinal right here. I'm going to personally center everything so it's I can see it with my eyeballs. Okay. Okay, so mail-in ordinal. And it's a very simple function. We're already sorted by the cast vote record number. Let me make sure. Let me sort one more time by it. I'm going to put the number 1 in the first cell. Then you're just going to write 1 plus the number above it. That's it. Go to the bottom. So click on that cell with the formula. This is always the fastest way to apply a formula. Select the range and hit Control Enter. Okay. When you hit Control Enter, it applies it like an array formula. So we have 318,880 ballots. Okay. Now what we're going to do is create mail-in normalized time. This is a very important column. In fact, this is probably the second most important column in what we're doing. Mail-in time. You don't have to put normalized time, but the appropriate term is that. We're going to write, it's the mail-in ordinal divided by the last ordinal. Okay, so this is the percentage of all ballots, all in this subset counted in the order in which they were counted. So it starts at the reciprocal of the total and ends at 100%. Okay. When you do this, copy and paste values over it, so we don't have to keep recalculating it. Okay. All right. Now, so everything here is either a Trump or a Biden vote. So just to show you that, if I take the sum of Trump and Biden, it's going to come out to the maximum. It's going to come out to the mail-in ordinal. Okay. Just want to show you that. 318,880. Okay. All right. Now, believe it or not, we don't care about Trump or Biden votes directly here. So we're going to create what's called a party column. Okay. Now, this is all we're going to do. We're not writing binary. We're writing a number. So like, if we had like 3 significant candidates like Ross Perot, then we would need something beyond binary, right? But here we don't. All we're going to do is say if Trump equals 1, then 1, otherwise 2. Don't put a 0 here. Okay. Okay, apply this down. And that's all we care about. 1 is Trump, 2 is Biden. Copy and paste values. And now get rid of these 2 columns. We don't need them anymore. They're gone. All right, now we need the undervotes Okay, are we past that in step 1? Okay, so we just did mail-in normalized time. Okay, so let's go to step 2. Okay. I'm going to stop the video and then we'll do step 2. All right, so we're going to go to part 2. And I think I skipped ahead to part 3 with the party column for Trump and Biden, but that's an easy step, so it doesn't matter. All right, so now we're going to create our precinct name column. Okay, precinct number. Okay. And we're gonna do a little more than what it says in those steps. Okay, well, let's get rid of this column we were initially gonna make. Put a new column here. Sort by the precinct name. Okay. And we give each precinct its own unique number. So even if we have like a split ballot style, like you'll see like a dash mark where there's 2 different ballot styles in the same precinct, we're gonna treat those like here, dash 17, then you get dash something else, dash 21, whatever. We're going to treat them all as if they're a unique precinct, even if it's the same prefix, same precinct number, but with a different ballot style. Just going to put precinct number. We're going to start with the number 1. We're going to write if this equals the thing above it, then the same number, otherwise 1 plus that number. It's a very easy formula. Okay, drop it to the bottom. Like so. And that's that. Applies it down. You should get 411. Well, actually no, because we removed some of the any of the redacted precincts got wiped out. So you got 406, okay? Okay. If you want to save the name of the precinct, okay? Create a new sheet real quick. Just call this info, okay? Put the 2 numbers here. Detect the, you can do the first or the last, doesn't matter. And just write if this equals the thing above it, then 0, otherwise 1. Drop that to the bottom. Sort by first, descending, and then by the precinct number ascending. And when you get down to 406, just delete everything here. Again, I'm going to make a new spreadsheet. This is like a temp info sheet. This is the permanent info sheet. Okay. I'm just going to take this, and this tells me the precinct portion name that's linked to every ballot style. Okay, that way you can always look it up on a table. Like that, okay? Because I'm personally getting rid of the full name column. Just call that info. Okay, sheet 1. We got our number, copy and paste values over it. And now go ahead and delete the precinct portion column. Okay. We technically don't need the CVR column for this. You can keep it if you want. I'm happy with the mail-in ordinal. I don't know about you, so I'm getting rid of CVR. All right, so that handles the precinct number, okay? All right, what we need to do next is we're going to create an undervote column for each of the ballot propositions, okay? So insert a column after each of these. Just call it V under, okay? This is a really simple function. It's the same one. It's a XNOR gate. Not, XOR, proposition, yes vote, proposition, no vote. Okay? That's it. So you see how they didn't vote here? So we got an undervote. And just copy and paste this column, okay, next to the others. So here, nobody voted on the nicotine tax, so we got an undervote. Here, nobody voted on the Tabor thing, so we got an undervote, okay? All right, now we're going to create we're eventually going to get rid of all of these columns. All we want is a single column from the numbers 1 to 27. So you have 3 ways you can vote on Proposition B, okay? You have 3 ways you can vote on Proposition EE. Why does it keep doing this to me? And 3 ways you can vote on 117, okay? Yes, no, or undervote. Yes, no, or undervote. So what we're going to do now is create a single column for each of these 3, okay? It's just going to be called Prop B, Prop EE, and Prop 117. Now, the initial documentation, my friend Roger showed me a much faster way to do this. Initially, I did this with 27 bit AND gates that were nested, as you can see, and then I did matrix multiplication. Good news is a much easier way to do this, thanks to my friend Roger. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Proposition B: if, okay, and let me put this here so we can just copy and paste the damn thing. So put that here. Put that here. We're just going to write, if it's a no vote, then 0. Otherwise, if it's a yes vote, so, hold on. We got to do something again. If this is a no vote, so there's a 1 in the F column, then 0. Otherwise, if there's a 1 in the S column, then 1. Otherwise, 2. 2 means undervote, okay? So here you see an undervote, so we got a 2, okay? Let's copy and paste between the columns. Okay, and out she comes. Okay. So they voted no, here they voted yes, and here there's an undervote on 117. Okay. And then we see our first undervote. If I see a 2 right here. So here we have an undervote. So we got the number 2 in that column. Okay. Copy and paste values over this. Okay. Guess what? We can now get rid of these, because we have all the information we need for what we're about to do. Now, we're going to create a new column. It's called the group number column. And the formula goes like this. It tells us which of the 27 possible ways that somebody voted on this. Okay, so we're now on step. We don't need to do this green thing anymore. Roger has obsoleted that. Okay. So we're going to use the number 5 version. Okay. Now we do 1 plus Proposition B plus 3 times Proposition EE plus 9 times Proposition 117. Okay? So when we see the number 13 pop up, okay, shouldn't this be yes, yes, no? One. Maybe it changes when you do it this way. Maybe you don't do that. Ballot set 5. I guess that's the new 13 if you do it this way. So that would be 14 would be yes, yes, yes. So that matches. So ballot set 5 in Roger's method is yes, yes, no. Okay. So this chart changes with Roger's method. If you did it with my original method that I outlined in the documentation for the court, with the bid and gates, it would be a bit different. But I'm just going to make sure this actually works then. So just let me make a new sheet. I'm actually very curious. Let's copy and paste over this. Make sure this is correct. We're just going to do a really fast check with that, okay? All right. Well, yeah, it's a little different than my setup, but it is unique, right? It's not like we're getting repeating sets. Let's be sure of that. As long as it cycles through all 27, it's fine. All right. It's all right. So Roger's method's good. It just doesn't come out in the same order that I put in the court documentation. All right, just go ahead and put that in for. But we're gonna have a group info sheet anyway, so just keep that there. That's so for the way Roger does it and the way I will be doing in the future. This is how it comes out. Okay. All right, so everything is good. Moving on. So we have our group number. Okay, so group 5 is yes, yes, no. The dreaded ballot, which is the equivalent of my old ballot set 13. Okay. All right, guess what? We don't need these anymore. Get rid of these 3 columns. So the only thing we're left now is the presidential column. 1 is Trump, 2 is Biden. And which of the 27 groups, okay, that this belongs to for the ballot. Okay. Okay, so that's the end of part 2. And like I said, we jumped the gun a little bit there by collapsing the Trump and Biden column to the party column, but that's a trivial step. So these are the only 5 columns we need at this moment in time. Okay? I'm going to Arapahoe. We'll just save over the current name. This is in a different folder though, right? Yeah, okay. It's in a new folder. Okay. Let's just save over that. So that brings that file size down from like half a gig to like 11 megabytes, okay? All right, we're going to start the next part of this video. I'm going to make some coffee. All right, so let's take a quick look again at those groups. So yeah, that cycle's a little weird for me, but I kind of like my other way. I like the way mine came out. Let's put it that way. Could we do a remap? That's too much for this video. But we could remap back to my original ones if we wanted, but fuck it. All right, let's see what step 3 is. Okay, so we did this where we made the party column, 1 for Trump, 2 for Biden. Each precinct will appear in a giant block. Okay, yeah, this is a template. All right, so we're going to go to the cast vote record. It says now we're going to sort this by precinct, okay, and then by party number. So when we do this, each precinct appears in order, okay? And then all the Trump votes come first, and all the Biden votes come after in that precinct, okay? And this tells us how they voted on the ballot proposition. All right, so now, what's next? Okay. So it says sort this by the group number. So let's make a new thing here. Okay. This we're gonna make a global variable array. Okay. We don't care about anything else that's here right now. So we can get rid of everything except group number for what we're gonna do on this new one. We're not going into the Riemann sums yet. Okay. And anything else in this first and last? Group ordinal. Okay, so just get rid of this. We don't need any of that. Just sort by the group number. Okay, now we're going to create group ordinal. We're going to start with 1, then we're going to write if. Actually, let's do what I say. Create the first and last Boolean arrays, okay? First, last, okay? Start that with 1 and 0. Now we're going to write if this equals the thing above it, it's not the first ballot. So put a 0, otherwise a 1. We're going to do this the other way. If this equals the thing below it, then it's not the last ballot, otherwise it's a 1. Okay. Very good. Let's see if we can find a thing in here. Maybe one of the smaller sets. Yeah, 6 cycles really quick, 5 cycles. Okay. So when the group number changes, we'll see 1 in column B, and then the row under it, we'll see. This means it's the first ballot for group 6 and the last ballot for group 5. Okay? Okay, copy and paste over this. Now we're going to create the group ordinal. Okay? One. Now we're going to write if this equals 1, then 1. Otherwise, 1 plus the number above it. Okay? And that's going to give us a sequence, okay, for each of these. Now, all we want to know at this moment is how many ballots were cast in each of the group numbers. So take this, put it over here real quick. We're going to sort it by last. We want to see the last one, and then by the group number, okay? And this tells us how many were cast in each set, okay? Total cast. Put that in the info. Total cast, okay? All right, now we want the time unit, okay? So put time unit. This is just the reciprocal of what's ever here. Copy and paste over it. That way Excel doesn't have to keep recalculating. Okay, now we want the offset. So if I wanted to find the last ballot, okay, last offset. Well, that would be row 1788 plus 1, technically. Okay. But then the rest would be the cumulative of total cast stacked on top of it. So this would find me the last ballot cast. So now to show you that, okay, what I'm going to do is write last. We're going to check that, okay? Offset last by last offset as a number of rows. Okay, so we're going to do this as a double offset. Offset, last offset. Okay. We'll put that in a moment. And then over here, we're going to put the group ordinal number of rows. Okay? And if we did this right, we're going to get a bunch of 1s. Okay? For the first 27 entries. Now let's suppose I change this. Let's put let's decrease this by 1. then you're going to see that it misses. Okay? So that's how we get the last ballot overall of each group. Very important at the very end of this process. Okay. All right, now we need group normalized time. Okay. Group time. This is given by the group ordinal times offset, the time unit, offset by the group number rows and 0 columns. Okay. So we're going to put in the group number, okay? And then what you'll see here is that for each group, this increments the clock by the reciprocal of the number of ballots in each group, such that each group starts at that reciprocal, okay? And then when you get to the next group number, the last ballot will read 1. Time equals 1, okay? Which you'll see right here. And then once you hit that last ballot in group 1, the clock resets and it keeps going. Okay, now if we go to the end of group 2, we'll see that again. Oh, this is group 4. Group 4 is a really large set. Let's go somewhere else. This is a smaller set. Okay. And once again, this is the transition from group 10 to 11. Again, we see that the clock ends here and restarts again for 11. Okay, so that's the group time. All right, copy and paste over these. Okay. The only thing we're going to need are the first and last columns and group time. Okay, so we're going to do this now. And once we're finally done, we actually don't need group ordinal. We only need it at the calculate time. Okay, but I'll leave it in the sheet for now. Okay, so now delta time. Okay, so we're just going to go straight to step 4. This is basically the end. Okay. So, step 4 though is pretty big. It's how we do things. Okay. So, what we're going to do now is go into this, okay? And we're going to do actual election first. Okay, this gives us the actual election values for what we're going to do. So we're going to put these outside because we actually don't care about these. Okay. We have the precinct, the party, and the group number. Okay. And I think I use, which color do I use in the thing? Okay, so we'll make this dark purple. That way it looks the same to everybody watching. Okay. Now, in the shuffle test, we're going to put a random number here. But since this is the actual election, we're not shuffling anything. Okay. So this is already sorted by the mail-in ordinal. Okay, so it was precinct, party, and then the mail-in ordinal. Okay. We should be sure. Let's be totally sure before we do that. Okay, this guarantees that were in precinct, mail-in, ordinal. Okay. Put that over there. Nothing should technically change. I just want to be safe. Okay. All right, so that's the original election. So instead of doing a random number, it's going to do count me. We're just going to write if and the precinct equals the same precinct, and the Trump or Biden vote equals the same Trump or Biden vote, then 1 plus this, otherwise reset to 1. Okay? This way it's not a random number that we're rolling. And that will just keep resetting. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sort these columns, okay? And this won't change any, for the actual election, this won't change anything, this sort. Sort by the precinct number, then the party number, and then the count me number, okay? Like I said, this changes nothing for the actual election. So sort by precinct, which is A to A, ascending 1. Sort by the party, which is B to B, ascending 1. And then finally sort by count me, which is D to D, ascending 1. Okay, and that's going to pop out some big sort, which does nothing. Okay, now we have the mail-in ordinal. Okay, then what we do is we're going to sort columns E to J into K and P. In theory, you sort by the mail-in ordinal, and then you sort by the group number, then the mail-in ordinal. But we can just do that in one step, okay? So that's sort by mail-in ordinal, group number, and then the mail-in ordinal, okay? So what this is going to do is it's going to pop out. So we're going to go G to G, which is the group number, ascending, and then the mail-in ordinal, which is I to I, ascending, okay? Now we're going to bring in our global arrays, group time, first and last. We're just going to copy and paste them right here. I'll put this in a slightly different color. Okay. And now what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you one of these as an example. So I think ballot set 5 is our weirdo instead of 13 in this one, right? Yes, yes, no. So just showing you mail-in time versus group time for ballot set 5. So you get an idea of what's happening here. We're going to go to the beginning of the clock and then to the end of the clock. So the mail-in, the group time is actually telling me when that's coming up here. It's very, very soon. There's a lot of ballots in this group, isn't there? It's about another 10 seconds of scrolling. All right, now we're going to go to the, I'm just going to grab these time values, okay? End of group 5. Right here, okay? Now, if we were to graph this for group 5, what we would notice is that the mail-in time on the x-axis and the group time on the y-axis, okay? That the clock of group time... Okay, now I'm confused. What the hell is this? Give me a second. What the hell happened? Oh, did I graph too many timelines? Alright, let's do that again. What is the fucking thing? Yes, yes, no is group 5. So I must have overshot something. So hold on, we gotta do that again. Alright, so starting that again. This is the beginning of group 5, okay? I don't know what the hell happened there, guys. I guess the other groups are so small, I just shot over them without realizing. Yeah, this is a really small group. Okay. As I say, I'm like, I can be wrong, but I can't be that wrong. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to graph the Malin normalized time versus group time. And what you'll see here is that this runs really, really fast, okay? And the way we calculate the speed of this, let me put these in percentage real quick. So the x-axis is the percentage of all ballots counted, right? And the y-axis is the percentage of all ballots in this group that were counted, which is yes, yes, no, okay? And what we want is the exact area under this curve. Notice I said exact. I didn't say approximate, okay? We want the exact area under this curve to the x-axis. And we can do that because it's discrete data points, okay? And we do that with a Riemann trapezoidal sum, which you'll see here. So this is an example with a ballot that only had a set that only had 8 ballots in it. And all you do is add up. The first value is just a triangle. There's no rectangle for it, okay? And it's just the mail-in time times the ballot time times 1/2. Then for the next ballot and all of the ballots until you get to the end, the area of the rectangle is given by the mail-in time minus the previous mail-in time. That's the width. Times the previous ballot time. Then the triangular portion is the same width, so it's the mail-in time minus the previous mail-in time. And then the height of the triangle is the current ballot time minus the previous ballot time, and then you multiply that by 1/2 because it's a triangle. And then for each ballot, the trapezoid is given by the rectangle plus the triangle. And when you get to the very last ballot, so there's only 7 ballots in this, okay, the clock keeps ticking until the election is over. So you add up your last rectangle and triangle, but then you add the remaining rectangle, which is just 100%, which is the number 1, minus the county time of the last ballot, or the mail-in time. So it's just 1 minus mail-in time, and the height of the rectangle is 100%, so you could either multiply it by 1 or do nothing, okay? So that's it. And then we sum all these up, okay? And after we do that, the area of the unit square, let's say this was added up to 61% of the unit square. We take the logarithm of that area over 1 minus the area, which is the area missing of the unit square that it didn't cover. And I do it in log base 2. And we call that tau. And that is the clock speed of the set. So if it occupies more than 50% of the unit square, tau is positive. If it occupies less than 50% of the unit square, tau is negative. It's a symmetric observer invariant metric. Okay? So that here are all the steps here. And I'm just going to walk you through these directly. Okay? All the way to until we get to step 15. So we're going to make this is going to be called triangle, rectangle, trapezoid, the area sum. Okay? So triangle. If it is the last ballot, then 0. Otherwise, if it's the first ballot, okay? Remember, if it's the last ballot, there is no triangle for the last ballot. It's just a big blue rectangle in this picture. If it's the first ballot, there is only a triangle, and there's no ballot before it, so we still have to execute a conditional, okay? If it's the first ballot, so if last equals 1, then 0. Otherwise, if the first Boolean is true, then 1/2 times Malin time, which is the width of the rectangle, times group time, which is the height of the rectangle. Okay? Otherwise, if it's anything other than the first or the last, well, actually, the triangular portion remains true. So even if it's the interesting question. Alright, so we actually don't need that, so I got lucky. Let's get rid of this code. There's an easier way. If it's the first ballot, this is the only thing that matters. If this equals 1, then 1/2 times Malin time times group time. Otherwise, 1/2 times Malin time minus previous Malin time times group time minus previous group time. Okay? And that's that. Nothing more to do there. Okay, now everything is working. Okay, so there's the triangular portion. That just drops to the bottom. I should have used Control-Enter to get the idea. All right, now for the rectangular portion. Okay. If it's the first ballot, this part remains true. Then 0. There is no rectangle for the first ballot. Okay. If it's not the last ballot, then Malin time minus previous Malin time times the previous group time. However, if it's the last ballot, we put the same formula plus 1 minus 100% minus the mail-in time. That gives us the last rectangle. Okay. So we got the triangle for every ballot, because if there's 7 ballots in the set, you get the 7th triangle. But it doesn't try to erroneously calculate an 8th triangle. Okay, it already knows. So now it goes for the rectangles. It goes, well, there's no rectangle for this ballot, but there's a rectangle for every other ballot, and there's an extra rectangle for the last ballot. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do the trapezoid. Okay. So that's just triangle plus rectangle for every ballot. Drop it to the bottom. Okay, now we're going to do area. If it's the first ballot, we just put in the first trapezoid. Otherwise, we add the trapezoid to the cumulative value above it. So if it's the first ballot is true, do this. Just give me the first trapezoid, which is the same thing as the first triangle. Then drop it to the bottom. Now we're going to see these end at different values. So like the all undervote set came in really, really slow. So it only has 40% under the thing. And then if we go to like ballot 5, which is yes, yes, no, group 5, you'll see here that it ends with a very large area. Okay. So it ends at 55%, which is very large for how large the ballot set is. There's how many ballots cast in it again? 74,000 ballots are in the yes, yes, no category. Okay. And that's it. We're not going to touch this because we're going to now do it with the random numbers. Okay. If you want, you can just graph mail-in time versus group time on the actual sheet, and you'll get the picture that's seen in the actual election. Okay. And we all know that it shouldn't look like this. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. We all know it. Okay? And you're going to see that when we go ahead and just shuffle the existing ballots. Okay? Within their own precinct and within their own party for Trump or Biden. If you just shuffle it within the precinct and you ignore Trump and Biden, it just completely collapses to a 45-degree line, by the way, for all the ballot sets. The way you would expect, by the way. All right, so we'll extract the area in a moment. Well, actually, we can do that right now. Let's just get final area. Okay. We're going to bring in our group number. And all we're going to do over here, we're going to write offset. We're going to use those offsets. So offset area. Do that first. And then we're going to offset that by another offset. Offset on the info sheet, last offset and then we're going to put the group number. Okay, and this tells us the percentage of the unit square that each of these occupy. Okay, so group 5 is fast, group 4 is fast. You get what I'm saying? Group triple undervote is really slow. There's something slower. I forget where it is, but I know there is something slower than that somewhere. There's like a 30 in here somewhere. There's got to be. Or maybe not. Oh, 38. So group 21, which is in Rogers, undervote, no undervote is really slow. Okay, I thought it was undervote, yes, undervote. It's undervote, no undervote. Okay. And those are really, really slow tau values. Okay. All right, so now how do we do the shuffle simulation? Well, that's really easy. Just copy the existing sheet. Nothing is going to change. Nothing changes. Okay. We're going to title this R0. Okay. Because we're going to be copying this to do 16 shuffle tests in parallel, which is what Excel can handle. I don't want to keep re-rendering these charts, so for the actual election, I'm just going to take a picture, screenshot over it right now. Very exhausting on the processor to make these charts. And then, you see count me? We're going to turn this into a random column. Okay, so rand, and just put rand. Okay. And what this does is it shuffles Trump ballots with Trump ballots only in the same precinct, and Biden ballots with Biden ballots only in the same precinct. Okay? This is all it does. Because remember, we sort by the precinct number and then by the party number. So none of that changes. Okay? We purposely do not sort the mail-in ordinal. Okay? The only thing that changes is the group numbers within the same presidential choice for each precinct. That's the only thing we're shuffling. Okay? And we're just going to map those to the same mail-in ordinals in the original election. So if you go look at the cast vote record, okay, and let's say, you know, you're on this ballot here, 156,654. When we shuffle it, this is a Trump ballot. It's Group 1, okay, and it's Precinct 142. This shuffle will make sure that another ballot from Precinct 142 that was voted for Trump appears in that slot. The only thing that's been shuffled is how they voted on the proposition. Okay, that's how this works. And then you sort again by the group number that got shuffled and the mail-in ordinal. That pops out your thing for Tau. And you get this chart. And here's the question. Does this chart look anything like the original election? All right, and the answer is no, not really. Okay. And you can see the difference real quick if I put in the values from the actual election. And the differences you're about to see here are pretty much the same everywhere, okay? So here's the actual, here's the expected, okay? And you're going to see these differences pop up now. And that group number 5 is running. This may not seem like a lot, but that's actually really, that 2.5 extra % is tremendous, right? So, like I said, this doesn't seem like a lot, but on a tau value, it's tremendous. Okay. In fact, speaking of tau values, let's go get our tau value, which is the only thing that we care about at the end of the day. All right, so this is going to be tau, okay? Tau is log base 2, and you're going to put in the area over 1 minus the area. The base is going to be 2. And this is a real number. It's not a percentage. And this is how you get tau for each of the 27 groups. So group 5, the tau is 0.31. And the shuffle is 0.16. You might think that's not much of a difference, but it turns out that 0.31 is about 60 standard deviations above the mean expectation. Okay? Remember, we kept all the precincts where they belong, all the Trump inviters where they belong on the same mail-in ordinal. and we're getting these tremendous events. Now, when you create the compile sheet, which we'll do that next. Let's go to the, I'm going to save this, and we'll go to the next part of the video. Okay, so for the final part of the video, we're going to create the tester. So we're going to put tests 1 to 16. Put this on manual while you do this. And then what we're going to do, so it could go from 0 to 15, we're going to hit transpose on these tau values, okay? Now, we don't want the actual election to be part of the calculations. That just wastes calculation time for the actual election. So I'm just going to copy and paste over the whole sheet for the actual election, okay? Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to copy this R0 sheet, okay? I'm only going to do a couple of copies, but you keep doubling until you get out to 16, okay? This will say R0, R1, and both of these have different random number profiles after you hit the calculate button. I'm only going to make 4 of these, okay? Okay, that's good. Let's hit calculate. I'm going to go back to manual. Okay. So between the different R sheets, you have a different random number roll in column D, and that's what makes each one different from the other. Okay. All right, go back to manual. All right, so now we're just going to put transpose here. We're going to put R1, R1. R2, R2, and then R3, R3. And like I said, you're actually going to create 16 of these sheets, so you're going to double R0 to 3 again, and then one more time after that. And then what we're going to do here, okay, we're just going to create the numbers from 1 to whatever. You have to do at least 2,048 tests to get a normal distribution. I'm just going to go up to whatever this number comes out to be, plus 1. Okay. And then what you do is, okay, you go back to automatic. And you're going to get the tau values, okay? Hold on. Well, you can get rid of group number. You know it's the group number, okay? Okay, so now we're going to count real quick. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, which is good. So when you do 16, it takes about 10 to 12 seconds per run. And every time you copy and paste new values, okay, it reruns the tests, and you just keep doing this. And this is printing out the clock speeds of all 27 sets per test. Okay. After you do, remember you're doing 16 in parallel, so it won't be as slow as you think. So to do 2,048 tests, okay, you have to do why does it keep doing this? You have to do this 128 times when you have all 16 in parallel. When you're done, hit manual, delete all the extra sheets except R0. This will allow you to do it again while saving memory, because each sheet is like 100 megabytes or something. So if you save this with all 16 sheets out, it's like almost a 2 gigabyte file. And then hit save, and you can come back and use this file later. Okay, the only thing that's going to break is the transpose on the missing sheets. So if you want to do this again, maybe you want another 2,000 sets you want to do. You just recreate the 16 sheets. You have to reset the transpose here from 0 to 15, and then you're good. Then what I do is I put this in a different spreadsheet. I usually use Google Sheets for this, okay? And I just compile the values. So you'll see the different test results that I got. So the first test, I only sorted within the precinct. I didn't care if it was a Trump or a Biden vote. And that yes, yes, no set, okay, was 65 standard deviations above the mean expectation. It was wild, okay? I said, okay, well, I do see that the Trump to Biden ratio is constantly increasing throughout the election, which is absurd on its own. But let's just say that's authentic for the sake of the argument. So then I ignored the precinct, and I just shuffled Trump votes with Trump votes and Biden votes with Biden votes countywide. And yes, yes, no was still 36 standard deviations above the mean expectation. I said, okay, well, what we're going to do then is keep the same, only shuffle Trump votes with Trump votes within the same precinct, and only Biden votes with Biden votes in the same precinct, which is a test that I showed you. And this 31 tau value, okay, was still like 29 standard deviations, almost 30 standard deviations above the mean expectation. And that triple undervote was like 30 standard deviations below the mean expectation. And whatever no, I think it was undervote, no undervote. So that would be undervote, no, undervote. Yeah, this one. This was like 13 standard deviations. Like, all these were like crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and like there's a video here. It says 4.2 sigma event. And this was literally just made like a day or two ago. Looking for an edge over the competition. By PBS Space Time. And, you know, he talks about this 4.2 sigma event. And that's enough to make everybody start rethinking everything they thought about dark energy and cosmology. So if a 4.2 sigma event causes such a scare in the scientific community, what makes you think that this constantly changing roulette wheel, which gives us a 29 sigma event under the best possible circumstances, where we keep the precincts and presidential votes in the same exact order? Okay, it's absolutely insane. Now, these tests are indeed normally distributed. So you can see this is the yes, yes, no set. And all I do is I did 2064, which is 16 or 40 or 32 more tests than 2048. And there's two ways you can test that. There's the dumb way, which I like, which I do in Google Sheets. I just put the quantiles from 1 to 1 more than the number of tests. So that's the test number plus 1 divided by the total number of tests. Then I create a perfect normal distribution. I put in norm inverse, the quantile, the mean of the set, and the standard deviation. That gives me a perfect normal distribution, like so. Okay, there's a nice little quantile inverse CDF function. And then I compare that against the actual data. And if the R squared is above 995 or something, like, I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, for that many tests, it's normally distributed. If you don't like that, there's third-party tools like the Shapiro-Wilk or the Anderson-Darling test. Okay, so we can do Shapiro-Wilk. And we can put in the same set. And we'll say, listen, this is, the p-value is good. The r squared is 99, just like it says in Google Sheets. And we assume that this data is normally distributed. Okay, that's set 13. Some of the sets that have lower ballast casts, like the ones that have like only like 500 or 600 ballots, you'll probably need more than 2,048 simulations to get the mean and standard deviation. That's why my friend Roger is going to do this in a DOS program. He's going to do like 1 million of these shuffle tests. Okay. But anyway, let's see, like Anderson, Darling, Stats Kingdom. There's another one too. I forgot what it's called. It has like a Russian sounding name. Anderson Darling test calculator. Maybe we can get this. Okay. Let's put it in. So look, Anderson Darling, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. And, you know, it's normal. Okay? All the metrics came out good. And that's really all there is to say about it. Okay? But for me, it's just as simple as here's a perfect distribution in column C. Here's the actual data. What does it look like? Oh, it looks like it's normally distributed to me. The end. Okay, so I have my R squared values here for all 27 sets against a normal distribution. 999, 999, 998. You know, maybe somewhere you get a 997. Nope. Yeah, at the very for triple undervote, I get 997. But it might as well be 998. They're all normally distributed so far as I can tell. So that's that. Okay. Even if they get a little weird at the end, let's say hypothetically, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that this bullshit just can't happen in a fair election, right? That can happen. That's impossible. Okay. Now, the shuffle test result you're seeing here, this is when you ignore the Trump-Biden category and you just shuffle within the precinct period. And this is where you get like 63 or 65 sigma, because everything just collapses to that 45-degree line versus the actual election. And we will prove in another video and later in this paper that this Trump to Biden ratio constantly increasing throughout the election is also bullshit. It's another 10,000 sigma event, okay? So I don't even buy that. So just shuffling the ballots within their own precinct gives you this. But we said, for the sake of the argument, suppose that the Trump to Biden ratio really increases in every precinct, all 400 and whatever precincts, over the course of the election. Now we're just going to shuffle Trump ballots with Trump ballots and Biden ballots with Biden ballots in the same precinct, which is what we do here, from E to H. And then we're going to go get the tau values. And even under those conditions that are most favorable to the defense, to the Attorney General and the Secretary of State, I'm still pulling on SOAR Precinct Partisan a 29 sigma event on yes, yes, no. So these are rigged. The election is rigged by definition. If 4.2 sigma causes a catastrophe in astronomy, then 29 sigma should be the end of all digital elections forever. That's all I have to say. God bless America.